Welcome to the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting on Tuesday, July 29th at 5 p.m. May we have roll call, please, Lori?
Crystal.
Here.
John.
Here.
Emma.
Here.
Todd Kirking will not be here. Todd Spaeth.
Here.
All right. Item number 2 is the first period for public comment. If there's anybody in the audience or online who'd like to speak to us, now would be the time to do so. Nobody.
It's just
Yeah. Okay. Then the item number 3 is approval of committee minutes from July 8th of 2025.
Todd, I move to approve the minutes from July 8th, 2025.
John, I'll second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sign. They are approved. Item number 4 is presentations by insurance benefits brokers regarding options for service with possible action. And as I understand it, we have 2 presenters tonight, and I think the first one might even be here.
So Brooke, if you want to just come up to the mic here, you'll just have
Did we set?
Yep, there's a button on the center right that looks like a little person with sound coming out. So if you just go ahead and
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, it's not amplified, but Emma, one of our committee members, is on
Okay.
line and she can hear you now.
Perfect.
So I'm just gonna launch this and you're ready to go.
Okay, awesome. Nice to meet everyone. I'm Brooke with Benefit Advisors Insurance Agency. We are the incumbent broker for the city of Viroqua for the health and dental and vision. Just kind of wanted to send a little appreciation for the amount of years that we've been able to work with you. I know that there have been some highs and some lows, but I'm really excited to show you some of the new programs that we have dove into over the past 3 years and just kind of wanted to discuss those with you. All right, so just some of the discussion points, a little bit about our agency, and then we do have a list of current governmental entity clients that we wanted to share with you. We did send you guys out for the request for proposal for bids. Then I wanted to touch base on the Ascend conference that we had attended in, well, this month, just a few weeks ago. And those are all next gen benefits that I will be discussing. What we've also dove into is the captive programs and then the next gen value added programs. And then I did a few example HRA cost projections of some of the savings that we could save the city. There are our lovely faces. Jerry will be here at some point. He got stuck behind a tractor in Cashton. There's me. And then there's Jan and Taya. We do have a few more ladies that work in the office, but this is our core. So Jerry is the owner of the agency. I am the office manager, account manager. I've been there for about 15 years. Jan is my mother as well, and she does more of the individual and claims reconciliation. So really when any of the employees have any questions, or Lori or Nate, you guys know to call the 4 of us. And also just to touch base of exactly what we are and what we do. So we are an insurance advisor. We are an insurance broker. So we are that middleman between yourselves and the insurance company. So what we do is we assist with quoting with multiple carriers annually. We assist with claim review to see if there's any high cost claimants that we can possibly assist with mitigating those costs. And then we also assist your employees on a day-to-day basis. I lost my card. My name is spelled wrong. So that is what we specialize in. We love to hold our clients' hands and their employees and want them to know our faces. These are just a few of the current governmental entity clients that we have. As you can see, City of Viroqua is top one on the list, but we do have quite a few municipalities and school districts that we work with, and all of them individually have the same needs, but also different needs. So we also customize in those custom solutions. Okay, so we did send the City of Viroqua out for bids. We did have a conversation with Quartz. We are waiting on the renewal. They did state, Tammy with Quartz had stated that trend is running at about 9 to 10%. Okay, so I do have those figures in here for you on the HRA display that we can discuss. Now, all of these carriers that you see, you may or may not be familiar with their names. The insurance industry, as you know it, is changing. Pharmacy benefit management companies are changing. The cost of healthcare is changing. The access to healthcare is changing. And that's what our agency is really trying to streamline, is for our members who are in what the government would consider a small employer. We want to offer these small employers the large employer benefits, large networks, custom benefit designs, cost management solutions. All of these things are going to bring your costs down. They're going to better the coverage for everyone else. And I can further describe what those are. So those are just a few different options. We offer fully insured, level funded, self-funded, ICHRAs, you name it. And all of them have different specialties. Yeah.
Oh, she just came to, she look at virtually one of our community members? Oh, okay. You'll just have to, if you don't,
Yeah, we can share a mic.
barbershop.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Mention that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And some of them do offer captive programs. There is a separate slide and just kind of touching base in regards to captive programs. So that's something that we will be further discussing as well. Okay. So I had mentioned that we did attend the Ascend Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. So the Ascend Conference is ran by Nelson Griswold. He is one of the top producers in the nation. He's written multiple books. So we have kind of fell under his wing and are trying to receive guidance in regards to the best programs that we can offer to Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. So the Ascend Conference is all for new gen or next gen agents. So those are the agents who are seeing the issues in the healthcare industry with employers, with insurance companies, and we want change. You know, fully insured can be an excellent route. But for some people, if your claims are great, there's opportunity and potential to receive some of those funds back. Okay. Captive programs. Jerry, did you want to talk on this? Or do you want me to?
Well, you're doing a good job.
You can do the captive one.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
It won't pick up at that angle.
it will? Okay. You know, and Brooke did a good job of discussing things. I grew up in a family where my father was an alderman for 20 years. So I know how things change over time, and we've worked with the city, back with John for years, and then with Nate now. But I guess I've gotten a little bit smarter in the 40 years of being a health insurance consultant. But what I've kind of learned is that now I ask a lot more questions. And I guess the first thing I would have said to you is, what's important for you on your health insurance? And I guess I'd like to have you tell me, what you're looking for, because I don't want to oversell you, for example, on a wellness program if nobody wants to participate in, okay? But I do think we have some other good options for you, but what are the things important with your health plan for your employees?
I think the one thing we go through every year is trying to get the most affordable rates. And consistency, if we can help it, so that we're not jumping between carriers every year. That's hard on the employees. It's hard on administrative teams. Those are a couple things we looked.
It's hard on us
Right.
too, because we're the one
Right.
doing the work.
And then I would say as well as just like customer service in general, making sure that if we have issues with getting claims paid, that we have a broker who will step in and address that. Lori and I talked about, there's a lot of administrative ease. Lori handles all of it in-house, but there's an awful lot that goes into it and can be really time consuming. So I think that's important as well. From your angle?
I think what I'm looking for is a person that can explain the benefits better to our employees than I can, because I can cut the surface, but when it comes to an individual question about what's covered, this or that, I'm looking for somebody that can answer those questions without me having to, like, to be the onboarding person for a new employee that may be trying to compare their policies that they have with a spouse to what we have. That's the thing that is missing in my current, what I need.
Yeah, and we're more than willing to do that. I mean, you have to just let us know. I mean, we have some groups that they call and say, hey, we've got 1 or 2 new employees come on. Can you come down and go through the benefits with them? We've put together some videos, and then we also have kind of started getting spouses' emails so that we can send them information too. Because Lori, it doesn't matter if I tell you about the great telemed program we've got, if the husband doesn't take it back home and give it to the spouse. And then 3 months later, I didn't know we had that, So those are, that's what we're finding and, reaching out. I mean, Maxwell White is one that I'd recommend, that we work with, and, when they invite us to their safety meetings. So if they, I get up there and say, hey, is there anything else that are out there? And half the time, their contact will tell me, oh, nothing's really going on. And I'll have 3 or 4 people come up to me and say, hey, I've got this procedure coming up, and Jan in our office is about as good as they get at working with those people too on a one-on-one situation. So if they get a claim that comes through, she's pretty quick to jump on that if something doesn't look right. Okay. But one of the things that triage kind of into what you're talking about is this year we were at the Ascend conference, and this is the 3rd year that we've gone to that. And it's basically generated for new gen advisors. And I'm, I'd like to say I'm one of the oldest ones there, but I'm not. But it's really targeted at people like Brooke and helping us to think outside of the box. And I think that's one thing that we've always done. I mean, you think back to when we had the Western Wisconsin Municipal Consortium. And unfortunately, that disintegrated because the carrier went away. The WEA went out of business. And ever since that program, we had 40 some municipalities in that. But I could not find a carrier that would take it all on again. And what I found out is that putting a bunch of municipalities in one big group together, not a good thing, because they're high risk. So you got to blend other organizations in with it. And so that's why we're kind of excited about this captive program, because actually Apollo and was it Elan?
Yep.
Yep. They actually have a small group captive. So what they do is they actually have 20,000 members, employers in this group, and they're adding to it. Elan has been in existence since 2016. But basically, they'll go right down to 2 employees, but they put everybody into one great big group, and their average rate increases are less than 4%. Okay. At 10%, we're looking at our rates doubling every 4 or 5 years. Okay, can we afford that? No. So what we're looking at is by merging all of these into one great big group, spreading that risk out. This is something that I've been trying to do since the consortium went down. And we had a number of those at the meeting this year. So it was exciting to sit down with those guys and say, okay, what do you need? What do we got to get to you? Because we're looking to stabilize. Like you said, it's not easy moving groups around. My girls have to do a lot of work. So that's one of the key things that we're really excited. We really concentrate in that under 100 niche, So, and unfortunately with those groups, you're sitting in a situation where, one bad claim could put you in a difficult renewal situation. But when you're in with this big group, that helps smooth things out. And that's where we're really excited about, moving into that captive space. And there's not many of them playing in that. So we were really excited. And she mentioned Nelson Griswold. Nelson, world renowned. He is the expert in health insurance. And he used to have a radio broadcast where we talk about different things going on. And I could listen to him all day. But basically, if you take a look at the big insurance companies, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, if you take a look at their stock, if we would have bought stock in those companies 10 years ago, we wouldn't be sitting here. Because they have made money like you can't believe. They make money by your claims going up. So there's no incentive for them to reduce your claims. Whereas with a level funded program, like we talked about, that Brooke was talking about, basically, if the city does well, they can get money back through their subsidy. So basically, they'd save money and get money back. In addition, if the captive does well, they can get money from a dividend from the captive as well. So some of the captives that we were talking, paying out 35% dividends. So those are the things that we're looking to tap into. Okay.
I did want to touch base with the big cap.
Thanks, Lori.
Is it working? Yeah, thanks,
You're
Lori.
getting us trained, yeah.
Train us. So in regards to the captive program, that is not level funded. That is very much self-funded. There's different programs out there. You have a single cell captive, you have polyamorous captive. So, I mean, there's different programs that are out there. And I would just have to say, I apologize, Lori, if you felt that our agency wasn't giving you enough support. And that must have just been miscommunication on our end. Over the past 2 years, I want to make it very much a point that what you guys want to offer as benefits to your employees, we want to be able to customize and offer as a solution. What is passion, and all of those things to your employees. A lot of these programs are not only going to fuel that passion, but it's going to help the city. It's going to help the employee to not have to take time off of work, to pay less for their medical care. So those are all of the solutions that we're trying to implement.
The one thing that I was if you could get to that
Yeah, that-
slide of the programs that are in. So for example, with Elan, they have programs within their level funded program to help reduce claims. One is integrated services, which is a telemed. I call it telemed on steroids, because if you have a cold, flu, something like that, you can call into them, talk to them. They'll prescribe you something. If you do that, you pay nothing. Okay. In addition, if you have a situation where you want advice on who to doctor with, they can also give you that information. Because there's a little secret that the PPO networks and your provider networks cannot tell you what a doctor's rating is, right? They can.
Just changed doctors and learned about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they cannot tell you. Legally, they cannot tell you. So, I personally went through a situation with a shoulder surgery where I ended up working with Dr. Bobonic. He referred me to a specialist where I actually had my shoulder surgery done. He ended up being the #2 surgeon in the nation. I had both surgeries. I had both shoulders operated. I had this one done first. I was with Gunderson. The surgery cost me $50,000. I had this one done with Dr. Hoyer down in Illinois at Illinois Shoulder and Surgery Specialist. He's #2 in the nation. The surgery is $6,500. We are using Dr. Bobonic to contract with those facilities. So if somebody needed to have a knee, a hip, any of those things, they can go to these surgery facilities, and it's pennies on the dollar compare.
And one thing that you will see in the industry is a lot of the physicians and the surgeons that are in the conglomerate system of the hospitals are branching off and starting their own surgery centers. So you'll start seeing that. It started happening in Eau Claire. And like Jerry had said, it's you need a surgery. This is your bundle pricing, $6,500. And with these programs that we have, if your employees choose to go that route and do the $6,500 bundling pricing, there's no out of pocket for them because they're saving the plan so much money. And they're going to renowned surgeons where have an excellent success rate when it comes to,
Yeah.
diagnosis. And
So basically, he has authority to waive deductibles. Okay, with Nurse Deb, she is her medical management, so she goes through and checks on procedures and makes sure that they were not getting overbilled. Miko Health is a really interesting program because they take a look at your claim data and before the plan goes in effect. They can analyze and predict who your high risk situations are going to be, and they will work with that person to reduce that claim. They were showing us case studies where they were saving $200,000 to $500,000 on cases. Diabetic is basically if you have any diabetics and they work with them, they get all of their pen strips, syringes, insulin, all free. And go that route. If Avocado is a program to help parents that are stressed out with kids, Go Macro. I should also mention ISO also has HelloMed for mental health. So if people are in need of seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist, they can call them and it's covered. And then basically the other two are in reference to saving prescription drugs on generic. They're saving 30 to 60% on GoMeds. And then the Macro X is also very helpful in specialty drugs. So they are actually, they will work with people to get them set up on a manufacturer discount. If not, they will get their drugs from Canada or the UK at a fraction of the cost. Okay.
Jerry,
Um,
I'm wondering, so we're just as a time check, we're about 5-6 minutes out from having to switch to the next group.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering if I think for tonight, I don't think we're necessarily looking at what our renewal looks like because we know we're quite a ways out from that. And we can't lock into our renewal until closer to October anyway. I'm wondering if we can sort of maybe get like just overview of benefit advisors and kind of what differentiates you from the pack. You've showed us some good programs that you've helped bring to the table, but can you speak a little bit more? I know Lori may have some questions as well, just kind of like those differentiating factors that maybe set you apart from other brokers and advisors and, health insurance support folks that exist in the world.
Yeah, I guess, you know, Brooke and I both can answer on that, but, first and foremost, I'd say we think outside of the box, okay? So what we like to do is work with an account to tailor make a plan that's gonna be satisfactory to them and their employees. Typically, when you, if you look at the list of municipalities and school districts that we have there, pretty much every one of those has a health reimbursement arrangement where we buy a higher deductible and then reimburse part of that deductible so that, for example, the village of Lafarge, they have $100 deductible. Now, I'm not endorsing that, but that's what they wanted for their people. So we designed that. We use a third-party administrator, so the claims go electronically to that person, and then, you know, they reach out to the municipality, get reimbursed for those things. What we have also done well with the HRAs is we've expanded those so that, for example, with Maxwell White, which I mentioned before, we actually, with that one, we added dental and vision. We gave them basically what they decided they wanted to give them a $2,000 or $1,500 max to use for dental, vision, chiropractic care, and the family neighborhood clinic. And I know when we had the consortium, we had a direct contract with the family neighborhood clinic. Now, the family neighborhood clinic doesn't like to work with insurance companies. So what we did with Maxwell Wire basically said, hey, you go to those, you get a $2,000 annual maximum. You can use it for any of those procedures, and then just turn in your receipts and we'll reimburse you. Okay. So, and what we're seeing down here, and I ran into this with Viola the other day, is we're seeing some of these rural dentists are not willing to accept Delta Dental anymore.
Mhm.
You're seeing it too. And the reason being is because they've strong-armed them for too much discounts. I've got a friend who his wife is a dentist. She said, I don't need it. I got more than enough business. We're also seeing it in vision. So if you want to see an ophthalmologist, optometrist, your vision plans typically will not allow you to go to Gunderson or Mayo. And those optometrists and ophthalmologists will not accept, so this way you can do that. So it gives your people more variations, more open to that, so that's what we've done a lot more of. So I think that's, thinking outside of the box. But then once again, Nate, it comes down to you and Lori and you telling us, what do you guys want? Because, like I said, I could come in here and give you a great exercise program, but, if nobody wants to use that exercise room over there, because they get enough walking in during the day, so be it.
Yeah.
So.
And just to piggyback off of Jerry, my wants and my vision for the future and the, existing business is to come in and sit down and personalize the benefits with you guys. Every account has different needs. You have some accounts that have opioid issues. You have some accounts that have diabetic issues. Mental health issues has been huge. So we have to come in and we have to say, what do you guys need? Are you looking to have your employees gain more access to holistic care? Really what our goal to do is not only to provide customizable benefits, but to reduce the cost to yourselves and to the employees by offering them solutions that are even better than what they currently have access to.
One of the things that I forgot to mention is green imaging. We added that to the HRA too, because if you use the facilities in Viroqua, West Salem, or La Crosse, you can actually get an MRI, PET scan, CAT scan for under $400 versus $5,000.
No, 5,000. Yeah.
Okay. Now, she just mentioned something about the opioids because we had that at the Ascend conference. So basically, we have a program that we want to work with you on to reduce use of pain medication. And basically, the federal government went to bat, and all of the pharmacies and drug vendors that were selling and pushing pain medications have paid in $60 billion in fines to the federal government, okay? That money's available to you. I looked up, and basically, I was not able to bring up Vernon County, but I did look up La Crosse County. And their fund is actually at $4.5 million would be available to La Crosse County. So basically what they found is that with union groups in particular, they found that almost 20 to 25% of the people are addicted to pain meds. An average pain person that's addicted to pain meds is going to cost your plan about $14,812 annually. Okay. And basically, once they've been on pain meds for more than 5 days, they hit that cliff. Okay. So
we are out of time at this point. We are at 5:32 here. So do we have any last minute, and I hate to cut you off, Jerry, but we were on a tight schedule today. Does anybody have any questions for the folks at Benefit Advisors at this time?
Just have one, and it probably, you review our claims experience then in order to find a good match, right?
We do, but the claims experience when you are fully insured with your group size does not give the most accurate information.
Yeah.
When you are level funded or self-funded, I mean, I can look and see what you filled for your prescription today, you know, so when you're fully insured, you can't take as deep of a dive.
Okay.
But we do use other systems that we can plug everyone in and it can get their medical risk score.
Okay, thank you.
so yeah, so what we do is we actually take if I have your name and your birthday, I can tell you what you're taking for prescriptions. And from that information, we can then look at what type of health risk you have. And that's how we get that information. Now, if you're level funded, I can tell you exactly what our claims are like.
Anybody else?
Just the one thing I wanted to tell you, that when you come in and you want us to tell you what we want, it's very hard for us to do that because we don't know what everybody in our group is dealing with, and they don't want to share that with us. So that's something we want to be hands off from. We don't want to be able to tell you what we want. We want you to tell us what you got. That's kind of where I'm struggling, because if we don't have claims experience, because we're fully funded, I don't have the information from our employees because I don't want them to share that with me. I can't tell you what we want to offer our employees. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that is some consulting that we can do. We can review that information and keep it very generic and just say, these are, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, John's been on, you know, opioids for 3 months. You know, it's going to be more of a high level of, these are the issues that I'm seeing, diabetic, you know, situations, immunizations, things like that. So it would be very generic of seeing, here's where your higher cost claims are. And these are the solutions that we could provide to help mitigate that.
You're with the other cities, have you been any questions about, or?
We like less complicated. Yeah. Yes. Definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you both for coming in and
Yes,
chatting
thank
with
you
us
for
and
your time.
sharing and whatnot. I'll, if you want, I can give you your fob back.
Yes, I don't think you want it.
Yeah, yes, I'll eject here.
Yeah, I would really stress the opioid situation because we're now having conversations with Westby and Westfield. We're actually going to be working with them. There's serious dollars that are they, for them and the companies in that community, so, it could be a real help for any. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Right. Yeah, soon. Thanks, sorry. All right. You guys want to grab seats over there?
We didn't sit there the whole time, I swear. We just came back like. 2
No,
minutes ago.
it's okay. You're good.
Because we do have one member online.
Okay. Hello, what are you guys doing?
So, new faces to the group. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick and then just
Yeah.
kind of share what group you're with? I didn't get a PowerPoint from you guys at all. But if you have any materials to share, we can definitely help pass those around. So,
Yeah.
It's your time again. We have about, I think we said about 20 minutes, just kind of talk through what your group does, maybe 10 minutes for a Q&A, and we're going to try to have a hard stop at, 6:10 or so, just to make sure we have time to go through bills.
6 would be fine too. We don't need to take up more time than that.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Go ahead, Jax, you can start.
Yeah, well, nice to meet everyone. I'm Jack Springleson. I work for the Insurance Center, an Alair Group company out of on Alaska. We've been in talk with Lori and Nate for the past 2-3 months now, probably. And then you can go.
Yeah, I'm Kyle Patzner, also from the Insurance Center. I feel like I recognize you from a past life. But I started out in insurance 13 years ago doing individual coverage. So I've worked with a lot of, individual business owners and self-employed people in Vernon County for the last 13 years. And it's given me a lot of perspective on just what people's needs are, right? Not everybody is the same, but in this area, we certainly have unique struggles to what people outside of the area do. So through that 13 years of evolution, I've been doing a lot of group plans now. We work with a lot of counties, municipalities. And I'm not here to sit and tell you that every group's the same, right? We try to tailor what we help people with to what their needs are. I think a big part of what we've talked about before is there's only so many options out there for carriers, right? And we can quote anybody that is out there for an insurance carrier, just like anybody else could. I don't think that's what you're buying when you're working with a consultant. We've talked about kind of the full spectrum of what we offer and how we actually help your people with what's going on. And I don't mean like, hey, you're a really sick person, we're going to target you, right? That's not the answer. That's not what any employee wants to feel, but it's how do we give people access to easier care, more options while using the same budget, but just to make sure that people are getting what they need out of it. And we feel like that's more than just what the insurance company is or what the renewal, you've seen this over there before too, but what I think has helped us become one of the fastest growing agencies in Wisconsin in employee benefits is looking at it from a wide lens, right? What else can we do? Because I think everybody's sick of the same insurance plans, the same carriers. You might flip for a year and then you're back right where you were again because that carrier didn't like where you were at. Well, you're not actually fixing the problem when you do that, right? We try to look at it holistically. What other networks can we bring in? What other access for people? A lot of what we found in the problems with people being unsatisfied with their health insurance is, A, they don't understand how it's supposed to work, right? So when they go in, they pay more than they thought they should have to pay, which then turns them off from going again. And then all of a sudden this problem they're dealing with becomes a way bigger issue down the road. And now we're dealing with catastrophic things or behaviors that have become so bad that there's no way to fix the actual issue. Right. The nice thing about the size you guys are is if you do have a ton of claims and you're with a small carrier, like a normal fully insured carrier, you don't get beaten up. Right. So it's not always about just trying to save money and helping those people. It's how can we make that employee feel better about their benefits because they work here. And we do a lot of creative things with these out there. We'll just let it out. Like Neighborhood Family Clinic, for example. You guys heard of Neighborhood Family Clinic before? Right. Has anybody been to Neighborhood Clinic before? Feels like a regular clinic when you're in there, except for like you're in and out actually for the services you need. And people who have bought insurance on their own have had to become smart consumers because the individual coverages are such high deductibles and high out of pockets that they've had to think more creative about how they use their insurance because to be direct, it doesn't always work like it's supposed to, right? If I go in for 3 doctor visits for the year, It's great that I have a copay for that visit. But if they do tests, labs, or any consultation, now I'm paying $500 for that visit. And you can buy a $500 deductible, but the cost is so high, right? So how can we find places for those people to go where there isn't that cost barrier and they're comfortable going in? So most of our employers your size do a direct contract to Neighborhood Family Clinic. There's no rule that says you can't. It can be a little complicated, but we have 54 employers that we already have direct contracts at Neighborhood Clinic. And we have really good data on how often those people are using it. We don't share with you who's using it or what they're using it for, right? We just share that it's been used. But that actually removes the cost barrier. Right now, as an employee, it's not just, hey, what's my insurance? What's my deductible? Who's the carrier this year? How much did my price go up? It's, hey, because I'm your employee, I actually have free healthcare when I go in. Right? That's really meaningful to those people. And that makes you even stickier as an employer than being with that new insurance company that maybe does or doesn't always go well. And believe me, we work with a lot of new insurance companies. We do a lot of level funding, self-funding. I'm not saying that's off the table, but it's doing it in the right way where you have the right things in place so people can get access to care, that they're not worried about the cost burden, which then allows them to use it like they're supposed to. I work with a lot of small employers who they've had to go with $5,000-$6,000 deductibles because of cost to save money. And in doing that, they're okay with it because now their employees can go somewhere for free still. I'm not worried about your copay if 99% of the care you go in for is free anyways. All right. And we can help educate employees on, you know, how your plan actually works, what your maximum out of pocket is, holding their hand through that process and helping them think differently about their healthcare. Doesn't matter what carrier we're with, right? Those things are going to pay off in the long run. And if you are ever in a place again where your rates are based on your claims and your usage, well, none of those claims run through the health plan then. And the beauty of that plan is you don't pay for people when they don't use it, right? There's a lot of our competition that'll set up like a direct contract where it's built into your premiums. Well, you pay for those people whether they use the plan or not. And I think everybody in the world, especially when you're using taxpayer money, is frustrated by paying for things that don't get used, right? When you can see that it's being used and you actually hear instant feedback from your employees that, hey, I had this thing going on that I was afraid to get looked at because of what the cost was going to be. Now they can go for free, or their child who's going through a hard time, they can take them there and not worry about the cost burden. Like that's giving health care to people and actually treating your employees almost like family, which in a small town matters, right? And courts may not be the best bet long-term. Just because they're the cheapest today doesn't mean they're always going to be that way, right? There's a lot of level funded carriers that come in and out of the market. But by actually looking at your whole benefits, not just the health insurance piece, we can keep you in a better place. And employees are less sensitive to what we do with the health plan when they have other creative places to go. We're working with Vernon County right now as well. And one of the things we're talking about them with is that enough, right? Buffalo County is a client of ours. Right now, we're working on actually having an on-site clinic for their employees to go to that is no cost to the employee when they go there. Because we've identified that one of their problems is people aren't doing preventative care, right? Their employees are frustrated to go to Gunderson or Mayo right now because they go there for their physical and they get billed for $500 because they talked about their knee pain. No matter what insurance company you go with, you're not going to fix that, right? That's just the system and the way that everything works today. So we have to think differently. We have to try to do things that are creative to help people get access to care. And it has to be unique to you, right? If they go work for John Snowplowing, they're not going to have free Neighborhood Family Clinic, right? They're going to have to pay their deductibles or out-of-pockets or pay when they go to Neighborhood Clinic. And we still help educate those people, but they're still paying when they go. And now it doesn't run through insurance. So now they don't go. They're back on the treadmill where they went in for their regular appointment and got billed for 17 other things. Nobody here works at Vernon Memorial, right? Am I okay to say that stuff? Yes. Okay.
Can I just say?
It's how it all works, right? And you guys have all probably experienced it. Yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, I think it's kind of more of a comment. So I'm a nurse and I worked at LaCrosse County. I just finished there and I will be an Amplify employee, but we do use the Alliance, but also at that had the Neighborhood Family Clinic and telehealth as part of our health insurance. And so what I just wanted to share with the group is you're correct in terms of there's certain things that are covered by the ACA in terms of like screening and the difference between screening versus like a diagnostic visit that have other hidden costs.
Yep.
my experience is medical providers in your primary care will like make sure they're like, do you want to talk about this? Because they know it comes with a bill. But I did also just my question around that is one thing I noticed from like a managed care standpoint is the neighborhood family clinic is really great for like office visits, and those costs tend to be really inflated if they're not like part of your annual visit. Like say your kiddo has like sore throat, you want to get a strep swab, right? Neighborhood family clinic is going to be a much less expensive for that office visit. But my question is more about when you're doing more managed care for people that you get to a certain age and need to have regular screenings. So like colonoscopy, mammogram, all of those, is neighborhood family clinic providing that more of that managed oversight of your annual screening recommendations? Because I know that that does happen within like the courts of Vernon or Gunderson Vernon Memorial System.
Yeah, and I can talk on that. I'll give you my story. So the insurance center has a direct contract with Neighborhood Family Clinic. I've been $1 million medical claim going through cancer. I started off at Neighborhood Family Clinic, just doing routine blood work. They found something, they referred me. I'm from the Rochester, Minnesota area, so I already doctored at Mayo. So they referred me to Mayo and La Crosse. And then like the continuation, so what you're talking about is like the routine care, people going in for blood work. It's about 20% of the cost that you'll see at Gunderson or Mayo. So that's why we do it. And for your older population that is generally going in more, it's free for them. And the reason that is because they're still using the same software systems that all talk to each other. So everything that I got done at Neighborhood Family Clinic, my doctor at Mayo was completely fine with. All the blood work, everything done was good to go. And yes, Neighborhood Family Clinic does a great job, but they don't do the colonoscopies yet and things of that nature. But where we differentiate as we actually look and are constantly looking to bring providers like that to the area. Another one, a good example is just Smart Infusion. As the city continues to grow, if you get more employees, that's things that we can look at turning on and being more proactive. Just for an example is for like an infusion of Ocrevus for MS, at a hospital system, you're looking at, $80,000 per infusion. And right now we're doing it at Smart Infusion for $17,000. So those are true savings that we're going to pass on to the city of Viroqua with their fiduciary responsibility of trying to give their employees the best plan while also trying to balance taxpayer dollars, right? We're constantly trying to be proactive. And the truth is there is no silver bullet for health insurance. And you've seen that in the past 2 years when you've gone from courts to exemplar, yep, back to courts. And like right now, courts is your least bad option is the way we always word it. But we're constantly going to be looking at how can we improve that wheel, whether it's through mental health, whether it's through just getting people the right copay plans or even giving them direct primary care just so people go into the hospital or go into the clinic, go talk to people. And the more and more we work with you, the more and more we learn about your population to how to navigate those things. And it's not we throw this all at once, but we bite it off at a chunk at a time. What are the employees wanting? Is it a little thing as easy as dental insurance? Or is it something more bigger that, hey, we have a serious case of mental health that we need to get people to see the right providers? And we have all those tools and resources. But again, it's one chunk at a time to making sure the employees understand it and that it's a well-rounded benefit package. Because with my experience too, I was also on a critical illness plan that paid me a lump sum of money when I was diagnosed with cancer. So it's making sure that employees are educated, have all these benefits, letting them know how the systems work while also constantly being proactive and making sure we're ahead of there for people. We always talk about how 10 to 20% of your employees are making up 80% of your spend. And that's the 10 and 20% we work the hardest on. Most employees aren't going to the doctor. So what are we doing with your high cost claimants? Are we making sure they're on Medicare? Are we helping them find plans if they need to go on the marketplace? We do that full spectrum with them. And it's just constantly knowing that there's options out there and equipping us and having such a large market share in the area. does help us always be ahead of the curve so far.
So Neighborhood Clinic will not replace Gunderson or Amplify, sorry, or Vernon Memorial, and that's not what we're trying to do, right? We're just trying to give more access to your people, which will allow us to be more creative in what plans we pick through courts or whatever carrier we go with, right? If we know that people are utilizing this other place for most of their care, well, now we can tailor your health plans to make sure that in the worst case scenario, they're not terrible, right? A lot of plans with courts, they have a really low copay, but the out-of-pocket max is awful, right? So it's great that you help that person get the $30 doctor visit, but if they have a chronic health condition and they have to go in for testing every 4 months, well, they're more worried about their deductible and out-of-pocket than the copay itself, actually, right? And how do we make that all work together? And then how do you educate your employees so they understand it, right? Because it is different to think that way. And another big difference with us is just the size of our team. It's not just Jax and I, right? You're going to get a team. We have about 16 people in the Onalaska office that all they do is employee benefits. And when people call in, like I would be lying if I said I'm always available, or Jax is, right? But we have the team size to make sure that that person can have their hand held when they're going through whatever it may be. And by doing these other things, again, it allows us to just pick different options within whatever insurance company we're going to, with some real data on how people are using it, but also knowing, hey, we're worried about your worst case scenario. If we have some people with those chronic conditions, this is what your out-of-pocket max was. Now here's what it is. And I know you had a $50 copay, but now it's free for your doctor visits. And Neighborhood Family Clinic will share data with Amplify, with Mayo. They have no problem with that. Like it's not a them versus each other, right? Vernon Memorial doesn't care if you go to your physical at Neighborhood Family Clinic, right? They just want to make sure you get the right labs and that they get the data so they can help practice the medicine that helps you get right. It's not like it's the doctors that are sending these people bills for the extra visits, right? Like you hit on the head. They'll even try to like ask the questions in ways to lead you away from getting billed. But now I'm not talking about the health issue I have. And are we really helping that employee be healthier or be a better employee if they're afraid to talk about their issues when they go to the doctor, right? So we give them a place where they can go and not have to worry about that cost barrier. And oftentimes that's even more impactful than your health plan can be, but it's not in replacement of your health plan. You have to have something for if they do find the cancer, the heart attack, or stroke. We just want to help them find it faster and get their treatment plan started when it's going to cost them less too, right? If we can make them hit their out-of-pocket max 1 year instead of 2 or 3 because they catch it sooner, right? Like Jax's situation, that probably would have been another 4 or 5 months before it was caught if you'd just gone to Gunderson and Mayo for the testing. But because we had the results and they sent it to both providers, we were able to call and find where we could get in the fastest to get that care. I have a client on a small courts group. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer last year. Never used the health plan. I've insured him for 8 years. When he was diagnosed, his doctor at Gunderson said, hey, we don't do this type of stomach surgery here for your cancer, but it's stage 4. If you don't get the surgery done, you probably won't live 6 months. And Gunderson Lacrosse said, we can't do the surgery. And they had a courts plan. Like that employee is in a really tough spot, right? And the doctor said, well, go to Mayo. I know they can do it. You can't go to Mayo with a courts plan, right? Like it's not a thing. Even if we did a point of service where you could go there, he's got a triple out of pop. That's not a good answer, right? But where do you go for that advice? So I was actually able to call. We had another client that needed the same surgery and we're able to get him into UW Health in 3.5 weeks in the past. I was able to get this guy into UW Health within a month to have his surgery done. And he's back managing the auto shop at that car dealership again, less than a year later. Right. So it's not just the health insurance plan, right? It's how do we get these people the tests they need at a price point where they're willing to do it and not put it off? And then how do we get them in the treatment that they need? It's not just the insurance plan, right? It's having somebody that can hold their hand and making sure your people are comfortable working with us too, right? We do a lot more with your open enrollment meetings than most agencies do. We do your new hire meetings. So your people are used to seeing us a couple times a year. That way they're comfortable coming to us when they have the problem, right? And it's really important that we're really personable and sensitive to those issues because you don't want them to come to you when you have a bunch of issues. Like that's the last thing you want is them to come to you complaining about the cream and how it was covered or what the heck they're going through. And people are sensitive to their health. They don't always want their employer to know all these things they're going through because they don't want to be a target either, right? So they can come to us. We'll help steer them where they need to go. We'll help them through that process. And if the day comes where they need individual coverage or Medicare, we have a full team that handles that too. The point we're trying to make is This is not just a, hey, let's find you the insurance company for this year and then find another one next year. That may be the case, but it's what do we do with your employees to make sure that they're getting access to what they need and that they're able to do care that is a benefit to them, not just a premium out of their paycheck.
Does anybody have any questions?
What other tools do you use besides claims experience to determine what kind of programs or plans are correct for our folks?
I mean, like the last broker said, in your group size, you don't get a lot of data, right? Or if you go back to courts, you're not getting any claims experience, right? And like you've seen that in the past, right? So neighborhood will just tell us what's going on, but not who it is. So really the majority of it just comes from working with your people and being hands-on with them, right? And giving them a resource they know is not working for the county or the city, right? Or whatever other employer they have, to know that we're truly on their side, we're independent, none of that information gets shared. That way, when they do have that big issue, they know they have somebody to help them through it, right? Because even if we do have claims data, it only tells you so much, right? Like we've had people at Quick Trip where one of our highest cost claimants was diagnosed as having anxiety. That was their number one comorbidity. They were $100,000 in claims in 3 months. That's not anxiety, right? Well, it turns out they were diabetic and had heart failure, but the primary condition they were diagnosed with was anxiety. And a big part of it was the insulins and the medicines they were taking for their diabetes were causing them to feel a certain way. And they were embarrassed about having to have something on their arm. And it was more about just helping that person find the care they needed, right? Making sure they got access to where they could go and that they were taking what they needed. And more than anything in that just comes from somebody being able to reach out and actually talk through it with them and have an open conversation outside of your four walls, right? They're not going to have that conversation inside the walls. We have to earn their trust by delivering the information in a way that makes sense and being personable and make them truly feel like they're on their side.
And just to clarify, in our world, small and large is just 50 full-time employees. So when we say small, it's not that you're a small employer, but to what Kyle said, you're also at the size where you know when people are missing work for doctoring needs. And I guess as you're also a tight-knit community too, that people are talking like, and so with employers your size, that's just when it's kind of more word of mouth. Like that's when we find a solution. Yes, with the larger employers, the Quick Trips, the 1,000+ Organic Valleys, like with those, when you're seeing live claims data, you're able to do something. But with employer your size, it's more word of mouth and kind of everyone else just keeping an eye out. So yeah.
Anybody else? Lori, did you have any questions?
I think they pretty much answered the questions that I had that I was going to ask, so I think you're fine.
The one thing we didn't get to, and I don't want to go over time, is we do have a timeline. We've worked with a lot of companies who have been with our competition before. And in general, another big difference for you in the role you're in is just how far out we plan things, right? And how we work through them, right? So like our clients that are January renewals, we've already met with and planned out what's going to be coming down the road. We can get a pretty good eye on the pulse of the market already today. Like January is a little surprise each year, but not much, right? Trends happen throughout the year. And so we try to work on a 6-month to 12-month timeline, which puts you in a better position and employees feel better about what's happening when it's not December 18th and we're holding open enrollment the day before they leave for Christmas.
Emma, anything from you? Think you're good? Right.
I was just gonna,
Oh,
Valley.
I was just gonna say, Nate, from my experience working in public health, like that piece around health navigation and helping people educate people on how to use their services is really important. So I think it's valuable. People knowing where to go and when.
Yeah, and we're running into it now a lot with Gunderson/Amplify. Is a lot of people are getting asked to sign documentation that they'll pay forefront and
Upfront or what insurance after the network disagreement, right? Like it is all of a sudden in the last 2 months, it's been this huge thing. So like things that doesn't matter what insurance company you're with, right? Those things are going to happen to your employees and making sure they have somebody that has been through it and help them through it. So it's not in your lap every day.
And I was just bringing that up because we actually held a seminar with one of our employers just to talk to them about how to handle that situation, right?
Yep, wasn't
was-
open enrollment. We just took all their employees off the floor and came in and talked for a half hour about what to do when you get that letter, what it actually means, how to read your explanation of benefits, and what you should or shouldn't have to actually pay. Because the HR people were getting that question every week all of a sudden, and it literally started in like the middle of February. It had never happened before.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen,
Yeah, thank you everybody for
for
your time.
coming in and spending time with us today. We'll have a little bit of deliberation and we'll follow up with you after tonight, okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thank you.
everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have council at 6:30. We have bills that we have to go through here yet tonight. But now that we've sort of talked with both our groups, did we want to have just a quick little bit of conversation about sort of, you know, Lori's done quite a bit of work in homework. This has really been her wheelhouse, and where she's at. She's the one who works with these brokers most often. I get involved during renewal time and help with oversight, but it's really Lori's wheelhouse. So would you folks on the committee like to start with sort of your general impressions of where things are at, or would you sort of like to have Lori kick off what she's found?
Okay.
Todd, John, Emma, does that work for you?
Have you worked with these gentlemen in the past?
No, other than the last 3 months.
Okay.
But I have worked with the insurance center in the past.
Oh, sure.
I've
In
worked
previous-
with the one gentleman and I've had very good experience with him. Yeah.
I was just going to kind of go through the background of how we got to this point. So, we've done our due diligence because we wanted to check for different options on the healthcare and benefit brokers, just because, you know, things change. Benefit advisors has been good, but sometimes they've been a little bit absent. So, Jerry and Brooke or whatever, they work on the health, dental, and the vision, but they don't really help us provide any of the other things that we provide our employees, which if you're doing employee onboarding, it's kind of nice to have all of the package of every benefit to be able to explain that to them. And that's not something that they really get involved in. They say that they would probably help me with that, but I've never had them actually offer to say that that's an option. So I was a little bit surprised at that. They do provide us, benefit advisors, they do provide us some online services through Mineral that we've used when we were working on the employee handbook. That was some of the stuff that we were using to get kind of like the bones for that. Jerry did mention the consortium about the municipalities, and so we've worked with them for a long time. The insurance center approached us wanting to see if they could get our business. They can provide the same brokerage options that we have today, as well as the additional HR needs with the onboarding. They coordinate benefits with us. They call themselves the Duck Hunters. We have Aflac. So I don't know exactly how that would all work together, but they are willing to work with what we have. They've put together, I did check references for them too from different municipalities, and they do put together like a benefit booklet. So if we didn't have them actually do the onboarding, some places like the city of Onalaska, which of course they're in Onalaska, but they've actually made like voiceover videos that go through everything that the employee onboarding, if they're not here in person, they can actually do for us. So there's options out there for them to do stuff like that. One other thing that Nate and I did reach out to Fleming over here, just because one of the previous brokers over there had requested that we give them a shot. So we did call them up. The person that we had originally talked to doesn't work there anymore. They don't work with municipalities. They're a little bit too small. So they can't really offer what we're looking for, but we did want to let you know that we did check with local providers, just because I knew you'd want to know that we did do that. One thing that they didn't mention, and I know Jerry didn't either, is that since our eligible employee base for insurance is under 50, that the rates are pretty much standard no matter who you have for a broker. So that is something that doesn't really play into it, because they're going to get the same rates if they're this broker or that broker, because we're under 50 employees. So that isn't really one of the options for if you're looking at apples to apples. So the only thing that they can help us provide is the different insurance companies they can offer. For example, when we went to Exemplar, that was one that was strictly working with Jerry's group and benefit advisors. So when he's talking about getting different options to do when they went to all this, the one thing that I will say is that I always feel like we're the guinea pig with their new ideas. So it'd be nice if we would always get them on like in the second year of them doing something, because Exemplar was so new. We got the great rates, we got all of that being a level funded, but we had a lot of issues with our employees with them. Both benefit advisors and the insurance center have worked with the HRA that we have. Of course, the insurance center doesn't have our HRA, but they have worked with places that have the HRA. So they're familiar with that. They've worked with Employee Benefits Corporation. At one point, they were even in the same building as the insurance center. So I do know that they can work with them. And they both agencies are familiar with Medicare. So they would have somebody, if somebody was transitioning off into Medicare, they could help provide them with the best benefits or whatever. The references, again, Insurance Center came back great. A lot of them that they gave us were smaller municipalities, so they didn't really use them like we would probably use them, except for Onalaska. The one thing that they didn't give us out on the reference list, which I thought was kind of odd, is that they have a lot of counties and a lot of school districts. So they are out there in bigger locations, but they were looking at just giving us specific municipalities. One other thing that we're contemplating and we've talked about is changing our open enrollment date to October 1st versus January 1st. I'm sure that Jerry or these guys, both of them, could help us change that. It wouldn't be something we'd look at doing for 26, but possibly 27, because of the fact that the deductible would start over. And if somebody has already had 10 months of deductible paid, you don't want to slam them with a new deductible for the last 2 months. So it would be something that they could help us work through. Both of them, I'm sure, could do that. But I just wanted to give you that heads up that we were looking at that too. So we need somebody that could be a strong advocate on how that all would work. Vernon County, when they mentioned that, they just switched back over to Insurance Center. So there's not a lot of backup on how it's going with them, unless Nate, I don't know if you've talked to them at all,
I
but
mean, just a handful, or just at least one administrator I talked to has had nothing but positive things to say about the insurance center. And so,
the second group.
and so, yeah, I mean, I've heard quality things just in, but I sent Lori to do the reference checks because in most organizations, it seems like the clerks are the ones who are having the most interface and experience with the brokers. So.
Right, and a lot of them would say they will do as little or as much as you want them to do. So it's kind of, if I didn't want to do the onboarding, they could do it for us, or if I want to do pieces of it, then that's fine too. It's just kind of however we feel comfortable doing. But our ultimate goal is to help alleviate our staff time in regards to the benefits and have somebody that we can pick as a broker that will be the best option for us to work going forward. And if you want my opinion, I don't know if you can figure this out, but my opinion would be that we move to the new, give them a try, because I just feel like a lot of times Jerry will just drop in and say, how's it going? Well, if I don't have a problem and I don't know what my problem is, or if something's changed in the industry, I don't hear any of those news things where I believe that if there was a law change or something changed within our group dynamic, I believe these guys would probably be right on it. And they do. One of the groups that I talked to did say that they give out like an email blast, like a monthly blast of like, hey, look into this month is something maybe your employees might be interested in. And I've never had that kind of thing from our current brokers. So that's kind of my pitch on what I've found out, but it is ultimately up to you guys what you want to do. But
We've personally dealt with the one, I can't think of his name right off, and it's sitting here. Yeah, Kyle, for a few years. And if we ever have questions, I mean, his response time is incredible. I mean, he would even drive down here from Alaska to talk to you. And I mean, he's just super responsive if you have questions. And we've had really, really good luck with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the service, I brought that up at the beginning, like service to our employees is what was most important to me. I said-
I think he'd provide that.
Yeah, I said
really do.
insurance is a real challenge to understand when you're just trying to decide which plan to go with and what you want to do instead of high premiums, low premiums. And then when you get into a pickle with some sort of health thing, having somebody to hold your hand, those are like the two things that really sang with me. And I do believe that that group is knowledgeable enough and dedicated enough and has a big enough team to be able to provide that level of service that I would be looking for our group. So I would agree with Lori. I think Benefizers has been great. I think in some ways maybe we could have asked for more. So just to be completely fair to them, but I do think giving another broker a shot for a little bit here. Again, we've been with Benefit Advisors for a long time, and I think I would be very interested to see like what new things or better things we can provide for our employees and to take staff time off of our plate. Would be really helpful. So that's just our sort of pitch at this point.
Well, and this is Crystal, and I heard a lot more about communications, meetings, understanding. There was a lot more personality in the second group, I felt like, and not so much sales.
This is Emma, and I think, as someone that works sort of adjacent to this, it is very complex. And I think some of the concerns they brought up are very true. Like both groups brought those up, but the focus on the health navigation and helping people understand how to use their different services, I think is really important from like a cost savings, but also just a big part of like health literacy of like knowing where to go for what. And it seems like they're going to support people. But there's something with the first group that just kind of stood out to me, which was about the opioid related settlement. And I'm just not sure that's something that necessarily a city would purchase, though, to have access to those. Those are going to be administered in a myriad of ways, whether they're through prevention programs with the county or through health insurance companies. So I just want to make sure that when we're buying products, we're like getting good information about it. And that's just something that kind of stood out to me that I'm not sure, but the way that money was set up is not that there would be undue barriers to accessing them, if that makes sense.
So at this point, if the group felt it appropriate, we'd be probably looking for a recommendation. We do have it on council tonight. And as you can see on their timeline, if we do intend to make a change, getting that change rolling is important.
So do you need like an endorsement or a recommendation by way of a motion type thing?
A motion with a recommendation to council as to which we're
Okay.
pushing forward.
Okay.
Well, this is Todd. I make a motion to change insurance brokers to Insurance Center of Onalaska.
This is Emma, and I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to move forward, recommending, is it the Insurance Center to the council tonight? And we just need a voice vote? Voice vote, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those not in favor signify the same way. No, okay, we're all good. Thank you. All right, next we get to do the fun stuff, payment of the bills, Lori.
Okay, let me switch focus here. Throughout the original bills, you're going to see the HRA 2024 reimbursement. If you remember at the last council meeting, I believe Joy probably updated you on the fact that we had some back stuff through HRA that didn't get processed. So the good news is it was only about $2,300 and not over $7,000, which is what we thought it was going to be because they had kind of taken both sides. So all of that has been processed and and those are kind of sprinkled in there throughout where it normally would have been. On page 4, we're paying redevelopment resources for the comprehensive plan, the progress billing May to June out of ARPA funds, that $23,633.80. It seems like a lot, but it's been a longer time frame between the last council and this one. So when you get down to page 9, there is a $45,000 payment that we paid to People's State Bank. If you remember, we got a $1.8 million reimbursement for the first one from USDA that went into our account. So rather than doing another draw, we ended up paying down on our draw note. Because how we found out that if we draw that out, we can't put money back into that. That's another item that'll be on council tonight. So we put 45,000 back on that. That leaves about 5,000 on the draw note. So that's in there and has been done. You're also seeing a payment for interest on a 2021 GEO note that's in the general fund and also in TID 6. And then on page 10, we're also at the last council, you approved the Chippewa Concrete, the Main and Decker pay requests. So those both are on there and getting paid out.
Did you want to talk about the pulling of the funding? So just as an FYI, in the Main and Decker contract up there, when those came
Oh.
through at the last meeting, I did have that amount pulled from our investment. So as part of that money sitting in our investment amount, a portion of it was debt proceeds to pay for those projects. And because of the time of year that it was and understanding that, yeah, we should just clear that out now that these final bills are coming through, I did pull money from the investment account to pay those off. Which unfortunately, again, now that we got reimbursement from USDA for the fire station, we can't put back in, but we have plans to figure that out tonight. So
There's money moving everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
So it moves in the right place.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, the goal is always
It's not in my bank account, just so you know.
keep stuff in the investment account so that it's earning us.
No, that's what I
interest
mean.
savings
Yeah,
as
so
much
that
as
they're good
possible.
investments. That's what I meant.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, we have to be very
Yeah.
careful this time of year with cash flow because
Gotta have access
taxes
to
aren't
it.
coming in
Yeah.
right now. And
Yeah.
so we just,
Yeah.
Lori and I, every time big bills like this come out, we look and say, okay, we got to get some money into our
Yeah.
cash to
Yep.
pay.
Yeah, right.
If you're okay for me moving forward, additional bills, the only thing I wanted to point out on page 4 is the Badger Environmental for the landfill. The first pay request there is $145,154. Is there anything you need to?
No, just with that, Sarah looked at that bill before they left, Matt as well as TRC, who's our consultant on that. We're not handling like a typical pay request because it's not a typical pay request. It's an invoice. Usually see those pay requests come forward. We look at all they're charging us for. But this was outside of that normal process because it was an emergent situation. But we've had those 3 people look at it, verify and re-verify the amounts that are due, and that amount was appropriate to pay. So Lori and I went ahead and caused it to be added as part of the bills, and with your approval tonight, it will get paid.
And I just had one thing. I noted on page 5, there was a bathhouse betterments for 527, but then there was the welcome center was later on page 10. So I didn't know.
Original bills?
Yeah.
The $527, that is for insurance.
Okay, that explains it.
Chubb is our insurance.
Okay,
agent.
thank you.
I do also have one thing to add on the additional bills that got caught after these were printed. We're paying $11,014.62 to the Hidden Valleys Municipal Court for the trip payments that have come in 2025. So, if you would, when you approve these, if you would also approve that one to go
Can you
through as
just
well.
explain what trip payments are?
It's the tax intercept payments. The municipal court had it set up to go through people's tax bills or tax, to get their refund. It takes it out of there first. Some of those are for other municipalities. Some of them are also for the city of Viroqua. However, since we're now no longer doing the local municipal court and they have not moved the money into the village of Cashton where they're having it done yet, it all has to run through them to get reimbursed back to us. So for 2025, the collections that I've received is going out to them. And we should receive back what is the portion for the city of Viroqua. However, they did not give me the backup of which ones are what, so.
Okay.
Does that clear as mud for everybody? Essentially, we didn't aim the tax intercept hose at the right municipality to start the year. It was still aimed at us when we should have aimed it at Cashton, so we're just correcting that and then resetting the flow.
And it's something that they have to do because I don't have access to change that. The court has to, but it just keeps coming into our bank account, so.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions?
No? Anybody have any questions for Lori? No, if not, we'd be looking for a motion.
And move we adjourn.
Oh, we gotta pay the bills first, yeah?
Motion to.
Yeah, we probably should pay the bills. So I move that we pay the bills.
Plus that additional 11,014.62.
Yes.
This is Emma and I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for payment of the bills. May we have roll call, please, Lori?
John,
Aye.
Emma,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
and Crystal.
Aye. Okay, we'll forward those on to the council tonight. Item number 6 is a second period for public comment. We have anybody online or,
Everybody's here for council.
okay. Otherwise, we'd be looking for adjournment. John?
Now you can adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I
Now that-
second that motion.
Okay. All right, we motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.